Welcome to the Boschendal Wine Estate, one of South Africa's oldest and most storied estates, and welcome to Boschendal the Nicholas Red Blazer series, as we celebrate the spirit of entrepreneurship by meeting a successful South African entrepreneur who's had a few bumps in the road, but also has some great success stories we can all learn from. And success is certainly applicable to our guest this week. He's a good friend of mine, one of South Africa's finest comedians and most popular actors, Jason Goliath, who's also a failed insurance salesman. He's got a wonderful story to tell, and over a glass or two of the Nicholas, he'll be joining me and another good friend of mine, Maponyane, at Buns Out, Maps' restaurant in Johannesburg, to share that entrepreneurial story and spirit with a glass of Nicholas on the Red Blazer series. Well, welcome to another week of the Boschendal, the Nicholas Red Blazer series, as we talk to some cool, exciting entrepreneurs who've led lives, have stories that can give us all something to learn from. And that's exactly what we're going to do today as we sit in what's probably the coolest burger joint in the country, owned by the coolest burger joint owner in the country. But we'll get to Mr. Maponyane in just a moment. Let's say hello to our very special guest, Jason Goliath. Welcome.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I feel wonderful that the world knows that I know these guys, because these are my friends. These guys are my friends. My number is saved, name and surname, in their phones. So I am now.
Well, when Maps and I were talking about who we'd love to have on this series and talk about entrepreneurship, your name came up immediately just because we love hanging out with you. But then it came up with, and Maps, we had this conversation, that everybody knows Jason Goliath as comedian, as funny man. You've been to a corporate event, you've been to a stand-up gig, you've seen him somewhere, you've seen him on TV, Black Tax, all manner of spaces, having fun on the entertainment channel. You do so much. But there's another side to you that people don't often hear the story of. And for me, that's fascinating, because I know how much it's inspired you to be who you are today. And that's Jason Goliath, the failed insurance salesman.
Well, you know, when you say it like that, Dan, I think you strip all the aspirational qualities of the story. But it's true. I wouldn't say. I'd say Jason Goliath, one of the country's foremost insurance salesmen that failed at running an insurance business. Because as a salesman, you believe that you can do all of these things. As a salesman, you get frustrated that somebody else, you're always earning like a shaving of the real money, and that's how you feel. And then, somebody came along one day. So I started off at Liberty in 2005, did incredible stuff, and then some people from another insurance company, so I'm not going to mention, offered us a franchise. And in my mind, it was just this, it's so awesome to own your own business and be your own boss. And I think that now I give people advice, and I say, when people say, I want to start a business, my words are, please don't. When people go, I want to venture out there, I want to test myself, and I go, please don't. And they go, why? I say, because on the 25th, nothing happens. And they go, what do you mean? I say, pay slips, forget about it. Your debit orders at risk. And then, my wife is so kind. She always says, why do you not encourage people? And I say, because I need people to understand that if you're going to survive, you must do it despite me telling you not to. You've got to want it that bad. Yeah. So if I can put you off, that means you weren't going to make it. I'm saving you and your life savings and your pension fund and whatever asset or capital you were going to put in. If you listen to me and don't do it, I feel like I'm saving you. If you do it anyway, I then think you've got a small chance of making it, because it's hard. I ran an insurance brokerage. We went under in spectacular flames. We did business with the wrong people, and we thought we were clever. We were not, and it was boiler room vibes.
Yeah,
boiler room vibes. The worst time of my life.
So you speak about how hard it is and how hard it was, and the fact that it's not funny business. You definitely started in one of the foremost companies as well in that regard. The first one you mentioned, and then the second one which you weren't at liberty to mention. But how did you end up in comedy from that?
So let me give you.
Because you hit rock bottom.
Let me give you the summary. So I started my career wanting to make money. So as a kid, my mom would ask me, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And the short answer would be rich. That's all I wanted to be. I didn't know what vehicle. I didn't know how. I just knew I want to be rich. That's all I knew as a kid, and that was ignorance. And I think a lot of kids that come from kind of an impoverished background they forget that you need to, have passion, follow a career path, learn to do something. All they see is the reward, the result. And it was so difficult for me to see past it. So the rich uncle in our family was the accountant. So I was like, I'm going to study accounting. And my mom was like, you're not an accountant, my boy. I've got bad news for you. I've seen your accounting marks. In fact, I have proof here that you in accounting, the balance is not balance sheeting. So she advised marketing. I studied marketing, and then I worked in retail and realized that retail is not a job, it's a lifestyle. You're going to work harder than everybody else, get thanked less than everybody else, get paid less than everybody else. And I was like, okay, retail's not for me. I became the youngest. I was the youngest leveled manager in Massmart history was my claim to fame. I was 21 years old, and I was marketing manager at Crown Mines Macro because I'd been doing the microphone sales while I was a student on the weekends. I was that guy, but I was amazing, Mops. Before you say clean up on aisle 7, that was not my job. My job was to sell high-value products in high volumes and buck the current trend, which we did amazing stuff. And when I resigned from Macro, I stayed on as their weekend announcer because I just wanted to work. And my attitude in my 20s was that if I'm not making money, I'm spending money. So while you're young, burn the candle at both sides and go, go, go. I then did sales facilitation and training for Hi-Fi Corporation back in the day, and they were exploding at the time. This is the early 2000s, and I trained every salesperson in the organization and would open stores. And that gave me kind of the grounding for sales, which led to insurance, because I was like, okay, now I can use all of the sales knowledge. And then I ran a brokerage until 2010. We went down kind of 2009, the end started, but you don't just pull the plug, you make stupid mistakes. When you lose your first business, you think it's like it's your baby. So, people say pull the plug, and then you go, no, I've still got one credit card left to pay salaries, and you think that that's a great idea. And then eventually the ship ran aground, as I said, in a spectacular fashion. And then I had nothing. And like when I say I had nothing, people don't understand. I read, and I hate this, but it's true. The quote that resonated hardest with me at the time was a Donald Trump quote, okay? I'm sorry, but it's true. I read a thing that Donald Trump had walked out of a building that had just been liquidated, and his comment was that the homeless guy on the sidewalk was better off than he was, because the homeless guy was at zero and he was at minus billions.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. I was at minus hundreds of thousands, minus millions. And I was this young kid, I didn't know what to do. Well, I was almost 30 now, so not too young. And then I realized that I don't have kids, I'm not married. This is my last chance to do what I want to do and do what I'm passionate about. And I'd always wanted to be in entertainment, but my mom had worked for Mnet for many years, and I'd seen that entertainers look healthy. They look like they've got money because the makeup and the sponsored clothing, and they were all leaving in like leaky VW Beetles and City Golfs, and I was like, so rich and famous in South Africa is not a guaranteed thing. And of course, my 20s were spent chasing the money. My 30s, I kind of changed the sum. So in my mind, it was success equals happiness. If I'm successful, I'll be happy. And my 30s helped me realize that equal sign is like bi-directional. So instead of going chasing the success or the money in my mind, if I chase the happy, because I made the sum, if success equals happiness, then happiness must equal success. And that was the thing of my 30s. So it started with me going, okay, cool, what can I do? And I was cool, I can do presenting and maybe acting. I went for a couple of auditions. And then I met a delightful young man that we were speaking about off camera earlier, serving yes, on a big beer commercial shoot. And we shot together for 5 days. Siv was already quite an established actor at the time, and I learned a lot. And at the end of those 5 days, they said to me, dude, I think you must try stand-up comedy. And I went, listen, I think I'm a funny person, but I'm like braai funny. I'm not stage funny. That's two different funnies. And then he gave me the best advice that the Hells Angels had just pulled up. Are they coming for burgers?
Yeah, they usually come for burgers, but
that's how they feel. Okay.
We'll sort them out. Gino's got them.
So serving yes, he says to me, I'm not saying that you must do comedy as a career. I've spent time with you. I see that you like making people laugh. Do it as a hobby, as something that I just think you'll enjoy. I get drunk with Nicholas at Mother's Day lunch, because our dads are brothers, Nicolas Goliath, and I tell Nick the story, and Nick goes, I also want to try it. And in my drunken state, I go, yes, let's do it. And the next morning, Nick actually called the Underground, which was Bank Management, John Christmas's business at the time, and made an appointment. And then called me to wake me up because I was severely unemployed at the time, at 12 o'clock, sleeping off this hangover. And he says, listen, you've got 6 weeks. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, no, you've got 6 weeks. We've got a date with 6 weeks. They made a big deal about not disappointing them, so we got 6 weeks. And the rest is history. I tried it. I loved it. It was the true romance of feeling like I'd been holding my breath until I got my first laugh.
Yeah.
And when I got that first laugh, my brain went, oh my goodness, this is the greatest feeling I've ever had. I've got to work as hard as possible to do this as a hobby. Because I went in like it was a hobby. So like you go bungee jumping or skydiving and you think it's amazing. Your brain doesn't go, you're going to make money from bungee jumping and skydiving. Yeah. Your brain goes, I've got to work harder so that I can afford this activity and all of the things that come with it. And that's how I started comedy. And the next thing you know, Goliath and Goliath is a thing.
Yes.
Tell me about bringing that together, because your success, I think, follows two particular paths in this comedy area. There's Jason the individual, and that's been a great story, and it's one I love to watch. But then there's also taking comedy as a business, and that's the really entrepreneurial side of this, where you saw not just a space for yourself, but a space to do something grander.
So I think that, and you guys are all entrepreneurs in your own right, so I think you will back me up on this, but I think that great entrepreneurs have the ability to seek out opportunity where the general public don't see opportunity. So I started in comedy, and I'm not even kidding. Within the first 3 weeks, I pulled Nick aside, because we started on the same day, 3rd of July, 2011. And I remember pulling Nick aside going, Nick, these guys are sleeping. And he was like, what do you mean? So I'd come from this hustle of corporate, and now coming into entertainers, where there were so few comedians, nobody had to work hard, nobody had to understand brand, nobody had to understand marketing, nobody had to have any business strategy behind their businesses. All they had to have was popular acts. So the first thing I said to Nick was, I said, the issue here is that nobody knows the companies in comedy. We know the faces. So we knew John Vlismus, we didn't know Whack Management, we knew Luis Okola, David Kibuka, and even the first Trevor Noah specials were done by a guy called Takunda, who owned a business called Podium. Nobody heard of Podium. So I said to Nick, the problem with that business model is if the celebrity falls out of favor, everything else will as well. How do we build a business that's clearly us, but will be successful without us? And the way to build that business was to serve. So we came into an industry that was budding. We came in at a time where it was popular. Trevor just went to the States, so every young kid wanted to become a comedian, but there were no platforms. So we just started serving the industry by creating platforms. The benefit was we got to perform on those platforms. We got to build a relationship with the industry without having to choose a side. And the opportunity that we identified was that Goliath and Goliath didn't need to ask anybody for permission to break all of the rules. And that's what we did. We broke the rules to go. So my first acknowledgement was there's not enough colored people in the audience. And that's weird for me because I know colored people love comedy. And then when I did some homework, I just realized that nobody's advertising it to colored people. Nobody's taking it to them. There was no marketing. There was no gigs close to colored areas. And so we just kind of started by going, okay, how do we start with something for our people and for comedians? So it wasn't that the audience was going to be restricted in any type of way. It was just finally they were going to have access just like everybody else had access. It wasn't that the stage was going to be limited. The objective was to showcase all the different styles, all the different people. And that's how it started. We started a gig called Our Wednesday, which eventually became cult status. It was the greatest room in the country for a number of years, just because we broke all the rules and people couldn't believe what craziness is this? How have we been missing out on comedy? And Our Wednesday led to Goliath and Goliath. So we started Our Wednesday first. That got a bit successful. And then I said, okay, now Goliath and Goliath, we pump all the branding. They laughed at us when we wore our own t-shirts. And now I see them. I see you comedians on laundry day wearing my things. I see you on laundry day wearing my things.
And then that was a huge success for you guys.
Yes.
And it was a great learning curve from an entrepreneurial point of view for you as well, having such an incredible venue in Buns Out, Roast Comedy Club, Goliath Comedy Club. You had this restaurant attached to it as well.
Yeah, Roast Cafe.
It seemed like you were just absolutely booming. But we all know that it isn't smooth sailing in all aspects of that business, and it all has to come together before it can be deemed a success the entire way through. You also had a few really tough times too.
So I mean, we had loads of tough times. I think what helped us survive is a couple of things. The gift of redefining that happiness equals success means that money in my 30s, so money in my 20s was the objective. Money in my 30s is a byproduct of passion. So it's not that I wake up going, I have to make so much, I have to earn whatever. But I'd rather wake up going, okay, what dreams do I want to tick off and bring to reality? And I get accused of being a jack of all trades. And I go, yes, because that's my version of success. My version of success is not having the biggest bank account, the fanciest car, and the flashiest stuff on Instagram. But my version of success is proving to myself that I can do things that I never dreamt were possible. I think my biggest crime as an entrepreneur was not dreaming big enough. And I think that, one of the things that I learned from Trevor Noah, for example, was when you hear stories about Trevor had no doubt ever that he was going to be a global success, that he was going to be one of the best in the world. For me, I struggled to think that somebody was actually going to pay me for these sports. It took me a long time to feel comfortable with that exchange. I remember speaking to David Kibuko, who was one of my mentors, and saying, listen, it's not fair. I just did 20 minutes and I earned somebody's salary. And his words to me were chilling, and I think entrepreneurs need chilling words. He said to me, no. So he said, why are you feeling bad? I said, because I drove past a guy digging a trench today, and that guy's going to work for 3 months in the sweating sun to earn what I'm going to earn at this corporate gig I'm going to. And then he said to me, yeah, but you can dig a trench. That guy can't go and MC the function that you're doing. So as an entrepreneur, you have to shift to believe in yourself and your product more than you expect anybody else to believe. So one of the processes I went through with David Kibuka was not only knowing what I sell, which is jokes and comedy and what my business does, but was also understanding where your currencies are, what you monetize, and the fact that you've got to believe. I was indoctrinated to never put up my hand and go, I'm Jason Goliath and I'm very funny. That was a brag, it was a boast. But as an entrepreneur, if you don't back your business, yourself, your product, before and harder than anybody else, I fear that nobody else will. So one of the things I think that helped me along was that simple sentence that I am funny. So when you see me on stage and a gig is going wrong, if I didn't believe I'm funny, there's no way for me to correct the course and save it. Now when it's going wrong, it's not that I get upset with the audience, it's that I get a bit smug and I go, you guys don't even know. You guys don't even know. You still got whatever left over from the previous guy. Don't worry, guys. I've got the jokes. I've got the jokes. Let's go.
It's been very much a team effort.
Yeah.
Goliath and Goliath
Yes.
and Goliath.
Yes.
Remind me, the other two, it's Jason.
So there's three. Kate is my sister and our managing director. And then there's Donovan Goliath, who's the only one that's not related to us. He's from Tata, and he's our designer. He comes from an ad agency background, and that's why you see his design stuff online is so incredible. And then there's Nicholas Goliath, my cousin, best friend. I always go, I've got a number of best friends, but only one best man. And Nicholas was my best man. So, and it was just a diversity of talents coming together with a common goal, common objective, and this healthy competition that meant we all wanted to see each other win and we all wanted to be funnier than each other. Nick's my favorite. And so is Kate, and so is Doug. But Nicholas the most.
All right, well, Nicholas is an apt person to introduce at this point because we are drinking the Nicholas from Boschendal, the red blend that has found so much favour over the last few years, and is made by a guy called Jacques down at Boschendal. So let's head to the winelands. Jacques, lovely to see you. We're drinking the Nicholas. We've just heard about one amazing Nicholas. Tell us about another one. Where does this name come from? Who was Nicholas?
Nicolas de Noir was one of the founders of Boschendal. Here you can see the Nicholas one as well. So we just actually here we paying tribute to people who love nature, who love wine, winemakers of the past, people of growers of the past. And one of the coolest or the nicest things of Boschendal itself is just the heritage behind it. So just preserving the heritage. If you have a look at 1685, it's the second oldest wine farm in South Africa. It's phenomenal. If you go down to the restaurant just now, it's almost like they've captured history. They've captured the history in time right there and then. You sit there and you just imagine somebody is going to come, one of the French is going to come around the corner. You can just see it, you can just feel it. So that to me, just that heritage, it's powerful, and it's so nice to be part of this heritage site as well. Boschendal meaning bush and valley. That is what the Nicholas is all about. It's just paying homage to some of the older growers and some of the previous winemakers and stuff. Nicholas, of course, the wine itself is almost paying tribute to the old school Boschendal estate blend. It's nowadays it's 40% Shiraz, more or less 40% Shiraz, it's non-conventional blend, but the rest of it's border varietal. It's almost like a full 5-way split. This is a 2017 Nicholas. We are left out Cabernet Franc, but that was the blend for the year. 2017, of course, being a phenomenal vintage and expression of Nicholas.
All right, there we go. Well, we'll raise a toast, I think, to a pair of Nicholases. Jacques, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to catch up with you. And cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Toast to you both. Toast to Nicholas, the Boschendal and the Goliath version.
Yes, to both. Delicious, both of you.
And tell us a little bit more about that family dynamic, because just as we spoke at the start of this discussion about how not many people know the insurance side, but they certainly know the entertainment side. So when we see you and Donovan and Nicholas, we see the funny guys, the TV stars, the entertainers. We see very little of Kate, and that's deliberate because she doesn't like the spotlight. No. But you seem to make such an extraordinary team, and you draw on each other's strengths, cover up what few weaknesses you have, and make for a really great combination.
So I think the easiest way to articulate it is I look at the three of us, and the feeling that I get. The reason I call you my friends is because the feeling that I get from you guys is that if you see a headline going, Jason Goliath scores big gig, you get happy for me. You celebrate on my behalf, and I think that that's what broke that forbidden rule of not working with family. Is that there's this weird trust, not only in each other's ability, but also as business partners and partners as a support structure. So it's a case of finally I'm surrounded by people who not only want to see me win and feel like popping champagne on my victories, but I feel exactly the same way. And that's exactly what I want for them. So Kate comes from a public relations background. She was PRO for Prime Media Broadcasting when she moved across. And my ex-radio co-host, David O'Sullivan, was working with Kate at the time, famously said to her, "You're going to do what? You're leaving a medical aid and a pension fund to go and help your brother start a career in comedy." And he was like, "You're crazy." And I love feeding him those words as much as I can. Because Kate has done just fine. She has done just. She's got a medical aid. She's got a pension. What? She's got it. Don't you worry. But I think that it's love. So I think that we love each other dearly. We are each other's best friends. If you want to know who eats around my table, it's my business partners. And you just kind of not only feel in a safe space, but there's no pressure to perform except the pressure you put on yourself, because nobody wants to let the team down. The team is not putting you under pressure, you bringing it all the time. And it just means that I wish it upon everybody, and not only with family, but upon everybody who has business partners. May your objectives be the same. May you all want the same thing, and may you all understand what role you're going to play. Those businesses go sour when, yes, our objectives are the same, but somebody wants to control the money, or somebody believes they deserve more money. Yeah. We've got a simple eat what you kill philosophy that has worked for us. It's stood the test of time. And there's never been a phone call going, "Listen, why didn't I get as much as so-and-so this month? What's going on?" That doesn't happen. It's everybody trusts. We all trust Kate more than everybody, and Kate is the Geppetto of the group, mastering the puppet strings. But focusing on the objective and what we're trying to achieve, and letting that be the reward instead of the finance, means that money happens by mistake. Yeah. I'm not saying we're foolish with money, and I'm not saying that we don't think about money, but it is not the first purpose on that list. It's probably number 4.
Well, you've taught us so much in a really short space of time, and that in itself would be more than enough of a gift. But you've got one more gift to give out, because Boschendal have got 10,000 Rand for you to give out to an entrepreneur, an entrepreneurial space, a comedian's Maldives holiday fund, to someone you think that money could make a difference to someone who in a space you were 10 years ago, trying to find their feet, change their world.
And before you say something, I'm quite excited about what you're about to say, or what you might mention, because you are one of the people who I think is most sincere and always thinking about how you can build others within the industry, and it's something you pay careful attention to. So it would be very fascinating to know who you choose.
So listen, the building thing I think comes with age, and age will teach you that there's more than enough for all of us. So you don't need to worry about somebody else's success. Doesn't erode your success and doesn't take away from your success. And I think that for me, I just want everybody to do as well as they can possibly do. So I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm just trying to be the best version of me, and I want the same. And therefore, I think I'm quite excited for this opportunity. Which it's I don't think it's just about the money, but I think under the current climate, I think entrepreneurs could use the nod and the pat on the back of belief and just somebody seeing what they're trying to do. So for me, it goes to a gentleman called Dumi, who owns a business called Chepa Streetwear. And if you've seen me on social media or billboards, I'm generally in a Chepa jacket. I stumbled onto these guys a couple of years ago, and they've been, it was one of those small businesses that was just about to start doing well. And then the pandemic came, and of course that just, flattened them. They specialize in beautiful, beautiful African prints and African streetwear, and it's African owned. They make everything in-house, and they're so kind that, because I've got an odd size and it's so hard for wardrobe departments to shop for me, they will come to my house on a Saturday morning to measure me up and make me something, which I think that's the type of service. It's people that understand the gap between good service and exceptional service, and I think Chepa Streetwear. So go check them out, chepastreetwear.co.za. I think it's just chepa.co.za, chepa.co.za. Do me, my brother, thank you for looking after me. I know what you've been through, and I hope that this money goes a long way to make sure that the stocks are full, the new ranges are out, and I know you mentioned you need some new machinery to do some of the fancy stuff that the European markets are doing. So thank you guys, thank you Boschendal. I don't think you understand how much it means. I appreciate that more than you know.
Oh, that's a fabulous story and a great recipient. So Jason, cheers. Cheers, Maps.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for Nicholas. First time I've put Nicholas in my mouth, and it's amazing.
Such a good listener, with probably the smallest ears I've ever encountered.
And they call me Shrek. I was like, so then as I grew the beard, I was like, imagine Shrek and Thanos had a child. Right?
On that beautiful note, I'll let you picture it for just a moment. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with Jason Goliath. It's been quite a vibey evening. The traffic outside, the kitchen going in the background here at Buns Out in Rosebank, part of Maps' chain, and it's been the perfect location to get some life stories from the quite extraordinary journey of somebody who's far more than just a comedian, as we've discovered this evening. So from Boschendal, the Nicholas Red Blazers series, thanks for joining us, and cheers to all the entrepreneurs out there. I think you've learned some pretty good lessons tonight.
Cheers.
Cheers.